Welcome back to Broken Bobby's Transformation Page. In the late 80s, I became involved with drugs and would eventually become part of that lifestyle of trafficking, addiction, and violence. Over the next 20 years, I would be in and out of jail and prison. If you're thinking about trying something or you're dealing with addiction, your life don't need to go down the same path mine did. I hurt a lot of people, both physically and emotionally. These are my stories of how I transformed my life, and you can too. Let's get it. All right, guys, as you can see by the thumbnail, this is the LA County Jail riots of 2006, February. I had just made parole at this time, and I remember being down at the parole office in San Bernardino on 5th Street, and there was a lot of buzz about what was cracking off in LA County Jail at that time. The race riots were pretty wild between the blacks and the Southsiders. And I'll get into that, and I'll read some of an article to you guys to let you know what the media was saying, which, you know, that always isn't 100% spot on, but, you know, it's an outline basically. So if you are new to the channel, subscribe, smash that like button, drop a comment, and let me know what you think. If you were there, definitely give us some insight on that. And also share the video. It's really helping us to grow. Also, hit that notification bell so that anytime I go live or I drop a new video, you will be alerted. Make sure you hit the all on the bell there. And you can also become a member of the channel. Maybe we'll do some like exclusive members only lives or something along those lines. Maybe some exclusive content. We'll see what we got with that. But let's get into the story. I'm going to read from an article and then I'll kind of get into it. So excuse me if I'm not looking at directly at the camera. So the headline is 2 dead, 100 injured in Los Angeles County Jail riots. On Saturday, February 4th, racial riots broke out in Los Angeles County jails between black and Latino inmates. The riot continued for more than 2 weeks, involving thousands of prisoners at several different facilities. Now, something to keep in mind with LA County Jail, you have Men's Central, you have the Twin Towers, and you have the Pitches Detention Centers, which is in Castaic, also known as Wayside. Wayside's broken into 3 different sections. You have Supermax, you have Medium North, and you have Eastmax. So, you know, it's a lot of real estate to cover basically with this situation. I'll kind of skim over this and give you guys some of the highlights. And just keep in mind, these are their words, not mine. Okay, it says, and I quote, to retake control, hundreds of law enforcement officers from all over Southern California were called into emergency service, reportedly firing tear gas, pepper bombs, and sting ball grenades. The guards were unable to contain the riot for nearly a day. 10 inmates were sent to local hospitals for emergency treatment of their critical injuries, and 1 inmate, Wayne Tisner, a 45-year-old black man, was found beaten to death. So it goes on. The violence began at the North County Correctional Facility, part of the Pitches Detention Center in Castaic. The first outbreak, which by all accounts was instigated by leaders of the Mexican Mafia, like I said, their words, not mine, as means of establishing dominance over rival black gangs, involved hundreds of inmates. Outdated plumbing had caused sheriff's deputies to move 500 extra inmates to an already overcrowded wing of the jail, which helped ignite the situation. By Saturday evening, well over 2,000 inmates were embroiled in the melee, using makeshift weaponry and bunk beds hurled from the upper stories of the jail onto brawling inmates below. That's wild. That sounds like Supermax to me. If they're throwing bunk beds off the upper tier, because it's an upstairs, downstairs type of facility. It's an open dorm with bunk beds, but I can't imagine fighting down there and having somebody drop a bunk bed on you. Jesus Christ. That is wild. Let's see. So Mr. Tisner, the one that was unalived, was in jail waiting trial for failing to register with local police as an S offender. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. It says that the sheriff eliminated all visits in the 6 county jails, which house over 20,000 inmates, despite last year's Supreme Court ruling that racial segregation of prisoners is unconstitutional. The Sheriff's Department ordered Black and Latino inmates placed in separate cells. The emergency measures failed, and more violence erupted Sunday night and again on Monday, February 6th. The fighting seemed to be ending by February 9th, less than an hour after officials gave the media a guided tour of the Pitches Detention Center. However, a new conflict erupted among 200 Latino and Black inmates. This rioting continued for 4 more days, culminating in a second death, that of 38-year-old Black inmate Sean Anthony Thompson, who was killed at Men's Central Jail while assisting an older inmate under attack by 3 Latino inmates. Yeah, this is just wild. After further outbreak on February 18th, Baca ordered more than 100 inmates to strip naked, with mattresses taken away and left with only blankets to cover themselves for a 24-hour period. This is the kind of shit that they do in LA County. I've seen that firsthand. There's a story I will tell at some point. It's probably going to be titled something like the Butt Naked Riot, and it may sound funny to some, but that's exactly what ended up happening. After several rounds, they basically stripped us all down and stuck us back into the dorm. This was in Medium North at Pitches Wayside, and it kicked off again. And it's, I'll tell you, the thing with it is, I'm trying to see if there's anything else. They were blaming it on overcrowding, and I'm sure overcrowding had something to do with it, because I'll tell you, I know firsthand, when you are in any facility and you have the stresses of your case and not knowing how much time you're going to catch, and people get on your nerves, and it's not necessarily a racial thing. It's not like, I'm pissed off at you because you're Black or whatever the situation may be. It's just you have all these stresses of your case, maybe what's going on at home and how your family's doing, all this sort of stuff. And then people being loud. And, sometimes it could be other inmates of your own race, which isn't as crucial in the big scheme of things. But, everybody just gets on your nerves. And overcrowding doesn't help that. So, these type of things can happen. Now, what I had heard people on the streets were saying, and I have no confirmation of this, but I had heard that some Black gang members, I won't be too specific on this, but some Black gang members had killed, they did like a drive-by shooting type of thing, and a young Latina girl was unalived during that. And that's what people were saying on the streets. I don't know. I have no inside information on that to be able to say, yes, that's exactly what happened. But I remember somebody telling me that, and, he was in LA County at that time, and he was in one of the dorms, and the rep for the Southsiders, they would bring in newspapers every day and put them on the table. And he made an announcement to all the homies that the newspaper would stay on the table until 3:15. Well, at 3:15 is when it kicked off. So that was a subliminal message to the homies. And like I said, the thing is, I wasn't there.
I don't know that to be factual, but I've seen stuff like that in the past where, a message basically is put out and you don't necessarily know what they're talking about, but, the people that need to know. And, it had said, more than 2,000 inmates involved at one point. That's the equivalent to back in the days, a big yard riot in prison. I don't know if they're putting those sort of numbers out on the yard these days, but that's a lot of people, and there's a lot of room for mayhem when there's that many people involved. And the one gentleman, they said he was assisting an older gentleman when he was unalived. This is the reality of prison, and even the county jail. Although most people will tell you if you can survive LA County Jail, you can do any level 2 yard in the state. LA County Jail is definitely no joke. And I can tell you, when I was doing my term and passing through LA County Jail, it was rocking and rolling back then too. But, they had to call in outside resources to help quell what was going on in there. The deputies that they had, even with emergency call-ins or whatever, wasn't nearly enough to shut down that situation. So, that is crazy. So there's a lot more to the article, and you can find that article at World Social website, it looks like. If you punch in February LA County Jail riots of 2006, it's the first one to pop up. So if you want to do your own digging into that, you can check that out. But, this is all the more reason not to be out, committing criminal activities, because you could definitely end up in a situation like this. And, that first riot, they said it went on for 4 hours. Like, that's an eternity in these types of situations. Like, it's literally life or death. So, you definitely don't want to be on the short side of the numbers when something like that happens. And when, all the different facilities are going off at the same time, typically what they do when there is a situation in a dorm is they send help from all over the jail to shut that situation down. But when the whole jail goes off, they don't have enough help to stop it. Like, they can go dorm by dorm or whatever. Eventually what they ended up doing was separating the blacks and the Latinos on in that situation, and that helped to simmer things down, I guess you would say. But family, fitness, and freedom are the things that help me not have to worry about being back into these situations. And, that was one of the worst that I've heard of. If anybody was in there when that stuff was cracking off, like I said, I had just made it out on parole. Drop a comment and let me know what your experience was like, because I know it had to be chaos. They were throwing bunk beds off the top floor, which, like I said, that's just mind blowing to me. Those things probably weigh a couple of 100 pounds, so I would imagine it would crush you if it hit you. So, just if you're new to sobriety, welcome. You can do this. I believe in you. And, it's just one day at a time. When I was, out there using and stuff, it was to numb some pain that I was going through. But the thing is, when you sober up, nothing has changed. So, find a meeting, do something to change what you're doing if you're not happy with your current situation. So I hope you guys enjoyed the story. And remember, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, drop a comment, and tell me what you think, and share the video. Also, hit that notification bell so you will be alerted when I drop a new video or I go live. I appreciate everybody's support. And I should be going live again tonight, probably somewhere between 8 and 11 p.m. Cali time. So be on the lookout for that as well. Those lives have been off the hook lately. I appreciate everybody's support. Don't look at the mountain, just start climbing.